Hi guys, welcome to Georgie Sparkles. I hope you've had a really, really good day. I've been busy talking to some clients and different people today and trying to encourage them and give them loads and loads and loads and loads of sparkles. And one of the things that kept coming up in conversation was our vulnerability around emotions and sharing emotionally. One of the mentors that I absolutely love is a lady called Brene Brown, and I know a lot of you might have heard of you, and a lot of you might not have heard of her. But one of the things that Brene says is that we cannot have courage without vulnerability. So I'm going to read you something called The Man in the Arena, and it was part of a speech by Theodore Roosevelt, and it forms some of Brene's work, but it's just really, really awesome. So I'm just going to read you that. Old glasses, lady alert. So, it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, who spends himself in worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. I really love that because it's about daring, it's about having the courage to be seen exactly the way that you are. One of the things that I was really rubbish at was asking for help, because I had a past historical pathology that told me when I asked somebody for help in the past, they always said no. And our brains are quite tricky that way, because, you know, there'll be only a handful of times when somebody's actually said no, and a huge amount of times when people have said yes. But our brains always track the one time that somebody said no. So being vulnerable emotionally has been quite a challenge for me. I'm really, really good with it now, but it took me quite a while because of my own experiences. So one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my daughter Caris and ask her a few questions. Here she is.
Hi.
My little gorgeous girl. And just have a little conversation really about emotions and how you guys with all your friends are coping with lockdown. How easy is it? I mean, you've got me as a mum.
Yeah.
So so how easy is it for you to express yourself emotionally, even though you have me as a mum, and even though I've got a huge amount of empathy and understanding?
Yeah. It's like, I think it's always difficult for a lot of people to be vulnerable emotionally. I think it's like a big thing that everybody's kind of like, it's one of those things where you're like, oh no, like you don't want to let everybody know how you're feeling in order to kind of keep yourself safe and protected. Yeah, I think it's hard to be emotionally vulnerable with people that you're very close to as well. So like, I think it's hard to kind of show them exactly how it is that you're feeling, because they're the people that are closest to you, and as soon as they know that, then they can look for those behaviours.
So how do you find having a mum who reads body language, reads facial expressions? Caris can't lie to me. She absolutely hates it because she just can't lie to me. I can see it written all over her face. So how does that feel? Because, you know, we do have a really strong connection, and you feel my energy and I feel your energy, and we're quite different. I'll you know, talk about it to a certain extent, but you tend to lock down. And that's because of your past experiences.
Yeah, no, I mean yeah, it's definitely, I can't hide anything from her. But no, like you say, I think it's, what's you asking, like how it's different
Yeah,
for me.
how do you think that's different for you? Because I know when there's something wrong. I
Yeah.
know, you know, what's going out there. But how do your friends experience that? What, you know?
I think for me, like a big lesson that I've had to learn, because it's been brought to my attention, is that I'm the kind of person who would rather you, I see it as, if I tell somebody like how I'm feeling, they're gonna feel that in them as well, because I'm an empathetic person, so then I assume that everyone else is. So I don't want them to feel how I'm feeling. So rather than being like, hey, I've had a bit of a rubbish day, I would prefer to try to not speak to them, because it's hard not to tell somebody that you're close to what's wrong with you. It's hard to lie about that. So it's almost like easier, even though it's not, it's easier to not interact with them as much. So like that's been really challenging for a lot of like the people that I have in my life, because it can be obviously perceived very differently. Like no one knows what's going on inside somebody else's head, for sure.
Absolutely.
So, you know, if I was like that with you or one of my friends or whatever, then, you know, they could feel like, you know, well, why is she not talking to me as much, or, you know.
But you've learned from me that that's their triggers and that's their stuff, and it doesn't have anything to
Yeah, of
do
course.
with you.
Yeah, of course.
And also it's about our perception, isn't it, and how we receive and perceive information
Yeah.
that's fed to us. How would that change if you knew that those people were feeling that way too? You know, kind of a little bit like the Me Too. So when I'm working with my clients, one of the things that I found is really, really helpful is to share some of my stories, because I want people to know I'm not just sitting there, you know, done all my qualifications and, you know, I'm sitting there, you know, just kind of judging them. I'm not. And one of the, you know, the things, the tools that I use when I get the biggest breakthroughs are when I share my story, because then that person absolutely knows that I feel that thing too. So our experiences are different, but the emotions still feel the same in our body. So how would it feel if you knew that person was feeling that way too?
You always get a bit of relief, don't you? As soon as you find out that somebody else is like going through similar or has been through similar or anything like that. So of course it would like make it easier to be like, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
But because it's so difficult for some people like myself to do that, is because I don't know that they've gone through something similar. Do you know what I mean?
So the little poem that I read at the beginning, the part of that speech, was about daring greatly and having the courage and having the vulnerability. Have you and your friends found that there's been more openness and more honesty around your emotions since all of this began?
Yes, like, don't get me wrong, you speak to your friends all the time, don't you? And you have those conversations, but you never, if you need something, you know that they're there. Like when, before all of this stuff has happened. So the fact that you know that they're there if you need them, that's comforting. But because obviously we're all dotted around the place now, because I go to university, so a lot of my friends are there. So because we're all dotted around, they're not just there. Do you know what I mean? So it's like they'd notice and we'd have a small kind of conversation about it, but because we're not with each other all the time, it's like, right, so this happened and, you know, but we're more able to talk about our emotions in depth now and value each other's emotional well-being, and we're very switched on and we're very aware because, you know, everybody is going through it right now. and everybody, I feel, is now having a greater sense of awareness of, oh, maybe I should check in on this person. Maybe I should check on this person. And it's becoming a pattern that everybody's doing every day. So all of my friends will just send each other a text, hey, how are you doing today? Which is something we've never done.
Right. And do you think that's because you've got more time? to do that, or do you think there's there's that genuine reaching out because people are now experiencing their own emotions?
Yeah.
They're now thinking, this is how I'm feeling, so is this how my friends are feeling, and I just want to reach out to them.
100%. I think since all of this has happened, there's a greater understanding, and there's a greater reach out. And I do think that it's because we all have more time to just be by ourselves, which is something that not a lot of people realise, but they're afraid of.
Absolutely.
So I think a big battle for anybody in life is kind of being able to just be by yourself and be at peace with that. Because, you know, subconsciously we're even, you know, okay, so I'm by myself, but what's that person doing? Or how did that make me feel today? Or something like that. And when you're by yourself, you're allowed to actually be at one with your thoughts. And that can be a scary place for some people. So I think it's making a lot of people realise, okay, right, well, I really feel like this today. I wonder if anybody else is going through this as well. Because there's always a sense of wanting to reach out and, like you say, know that somebody else is going through similar.
Yeah, exactly. So what is it that you feel people need emotionally? Like, you know, you're not the greatest at opening up, and that goes back to your experiences. But it's not the physical stuff that you're scared of, it's the emotional feelings that you have in your body. And obviously you're aware of the 90-second rule, and you know that it's just chemicals. And she hates me. She hates me when I say that, when I say it's just chemicals. Like it's like the thing that you love to hear the most, isn't it, when I say that to you? Not really. So you're aware of all of these sparkly goodies and things like that. What is it that your friends are asking for right now? What is that reaching out that they're asking for right now?
I think it's just like to know that everybody's kind of going through a rubbish time at the minute. And it's like, I think the need to reach out is because when we are being told we can't. Like, you cannot go and see your friends. You cannot go and have social gatherings. Because we're being told that we can't, we're like, well, I don't know why I need to, but I need to go and check on this person, and I need to do that. Do you know what I mean?
So is there a heightened awareness of your intuition? Your inner tutor?
I think so, greatly. I really, really do, because, you know, there's people that haven't spoken to me in years that I've had a message from, like, you know, hey, haven't spoken to you in a while, like, how are you doing? And it's like, oh, you know, because it makes people sit and think, how is this person feeling? I wonder how they're feeling.
So would you say that they're sparkles?
Yeah.
They are sparkles. And
my friends.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Not mine. So what would you say? Because obviously I'm mum.
Yeah.
Obs. What's the best bits of advice that I've given you over the years? What are the things that have helped you the most emotionally?
Okay, so a big one, and all of my friends now know this, and all of my friends know this about me, and, you know, anyone that I speak to, kind of, if you know my morals and you know my values, this is the biggest one for me. And that is that there is a difference between your who and your do. And this used to drive me crazy growing up, but when I got older, I understood it and I got it. And when you understand it, it makes a lot of sense. You know, in life, everyone's always like, well, they did this to me and they did that to me and the other person did that to me. And it's like, if you, like you always say, if you don't allow yourself to feel like that, then that's not going to affect you.
Absolutely.
And as soon as you know that, and you know that there's a difference between, so if you're having a conversation with someone and someone says, you know, I really don't like it when you do that, they're not saying, I really don't like you.
No, I don't like your behaviour.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So growing up, it was like, the reason it used to annoy me is because anytime, like, if I did something at school or something like that, and, you know, Mum got told, like, oh, you know, Karis has done this today, and then I'd come home and I'd get the talk, and Mum would be, you know, who you are is lovely and amazing, but you can't do these things. So it was like, well, you know, who I am is really good, but, you know, but there's, yeah, it's just a difference between, like, who you are, who your soul is, you know. And then
your
what
behaviours.
yeah.
So, because our behaviours are driven by our thoughts. So our thoughts flow chemicals into our system. We've talked about this. But then they're driving our behaviours, and they're driving us to say things or do things that we wouldn't ordinarily do, especially when we're scared, especially when we're uncertain. So yeah, there is a difference between your who and your do. And growing up, that is what Caris was always told. Who you are is amazing, funny, kind, you know, clever, smart, all of those great things. But your do is driving me crazy right now. So I wasn't giving her inside hurts. So it doesn't matter whether you're dealing with children, or it doesn't matter if you're dealing with grown-ups. If you learn to separate out your who and your do, and their who and their do, then you realise that that person is actually amazing and gorgeous and sparkly, and there's a reason that they're behaving like that right now, and it ain't got nothing to do with me.
No,
ain't got nothing to do with me. They just gone crazy in their head. They just thinking this crazy stuff, and they just go like, they done lost their mind. And then they take it out on you because oops, the black lady came out in me. So if you can separate somebody's who and their do, did that make it easier for you when you were at school to deal with those
100%
girls? Because it was girls, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think when you can look at a situation and look at a person and go, okay, I'm really angry at this person right now, or I'm really hurt by this person right now, or I'm really upset because of this person right now, you can then differentiate, okay, I'm not upset with them and who they are as a person and their soul and, you know, their actual being, but I'm angry, hurt, upset by what they've done. So when you can separate that, then you the hurt that you experience in yourself, because you're perpetuating the thought, you know,
9-second rule,
exactly,
it's just chemicals.
Because you're perpetuating it, you're hurting yourself. And as soon as you can detach the two, you can see a situation for what it is. And it's been such a blessing to have known that, because I have you as a mum.
Thank you.
It was such a blessing to know that from a younger age, because I feel like when you get older, you can kind of grasp, you know, okay, well, they've done this, but they're really good at this, and da-da-da-da-da. But when you're growing up, you just see red, and that's it. But it's been so good to know, you know, in any kind of relationship that I have had, you know, friendships, relationships, whatever, that, you know, I can separate the two, and I can see that person for who they are, and I can see all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think that that's such an important thing, you know, with your friends especially, because everybody can get into it with their friends from time to time. But when you can differentiate between, okay, they've done this and I don't agree with it, but I love them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, exactly. and then, you know, switching that up to how do you deal with that, is having that conversation, having an open and honest conversation with your friends or your loved ones, whoever that is, and saying, do you know what, we talked about this in the video the other day, the way I experienced you in that moment was quite, I felt that you were quite angry with me, or I felt, you know, that was a little bit unjust. That's the way I experienced it in my body and in my mind. I'm just wondering if you can explain that a little bit more for me, because I absolutely know that you wouldn't want to hurt me in that way. And then does that work?
What do you mean, like knowing that,
but also then having a different way to have a conversation with somebody.
Of course, because when you know that, then you can have that conversation with somebody, because you are then able to see the difference, because you can see the difference, you can feel the difference, so you can have that conversation of, look, you might not have meant it this way, but you've done this and that's hurt me, because then, you know, you can see a situation for what it is. So they kind of go hand in hand.
They do go hand in hand. So that was Caris's top tip. There's a difference between your who and your do. If you want to know more about that, we can talk about that in a different video. You know, we're happy to do a little Facebook Live. So please, please, please remember how amazing your you is. Your who you are is amazing and funny and kind and clever and empathic and so sparkly, because you're a sparkly girl, aren't you, Karis?
Oh,
yeah, she's a sparkly girl. Oh, how tall goes you?
Oh, I knows.
She's tidy.
Oh, I knows.
She knows. So please learn to separate your who and your do. Learn to separate everybody else's who and their do.
Because it'll really help you as well, like with all of this that's going on at the
minute. Absolutely. And just be so gentle with yourself. I mean, we've had little routines here. I know that you've slept quite a lot, and that's how you've been handling it. There's been a lot of TikToks, there's been a lot of house parties, and I think, you know, I said it the other day, but we're really grateful for the internet.
100%. It's such a blessing,
because, you know, we can reach out to others that way. So I'm here. I'm sending you loads and loads and loads of love and loads and loads and loads of sparkles, and I hope you've enjoyed this. We've really enjoyed doing this. She's such a sparkly girl. She is. So we will see you all tomorrow. Okay, take care. Bye.